To you all, and welcome in to another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. I am joined by two of my favorite people. Of course, we'll get to this maniac in a second. Over there on that side, it's my vice mayor, your thunderstick, the one and only Jesse Friedman. And of course, it's our comptroller himself, the one and only Patty Plantain. Patrick Lyons, come over here.
It feels so good to be a part of the PHNX Diamondbacks sandwich.
Yeah,
it's delicious.
Yeah,
it comes on Hero Bread. Are we still doing that?
No.
I haven't gotten the emails anymore.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Max will come in here and scream at us right now. But I will say that it is very great to have Patrick here. And
I thought didn't we like change the locks when Patrick left? Like,
it took him a little while to get back in the building. But
how does it feel to be the second person Derek has kissed sitting in that exact spot?
I'm glad I've gotten a smooch.
Jesse
I'm good
Jr.
with that.
Doesn't count really, but of course that's a whole other thing. Of course, we do have a lot to discuss. We were out there at spring training again. It's beautiful. Love it being out there. We did have some more information in regards to the situation we spoke about yesterday, which was Ken Kendrick's comments in regards to the stadium and the Diamondbacks not staying there. There were some people very unhappy with us about that clip that we put out there, as if we forced Ken to say the words that came out of his mouth. But those words did in fact come out of his mouth, and I don't really think that they were misinterpreted, but at the same time, we all kind of understand, and I think that's the point Jesse and I were trying to drive home yesterday, which is we don't really think the Diamondbacks are going anywhere. And in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that his comments yesterday meant anything other than the best way I could put this, and I hope my wife's not watching right now, but when you're in a relationship and you're like, there's other girls out there. There are really no other girls out there. You're just saying that because you want some of the power back in the relationship, right?
Yeah, I think, that's a pretty decent analogy, I think.
Look, there's a negotiation strategy that goes into it, and at some point it has to get unveiled. Yeah, was it a bummer that it's on the day that you have the first full squad practice? Sure, but it was bound to happen. And for them, they might be really pleased when it did happen.
Yeah. But Derek Hall was on Arizona Sports Today, and he said, I could see why it would become a headline, and it did. And then he went on to explain further that they have no intentions at all of even starting discussions with anybody that would involve the Diamondbacks moving anywhere else. It's just, again, like we spoke about yesterday, the reality of the situation, right? The Diamondbacks do have a lease. When it's up, if they don't feel like the deal is satisfied and that is a facility that they want to continue to, partner with Maricopa County and extend a new lease on, then they all have to look elsewhere, right? This is a situation, by the way, where I feel like we've Ken got dinged up a lot on this, as Torey would say probably here. And there are a lot of people I don't think that really understood the situation, that think that it's Ken Kendrick asking for, public money or taxes or whatever. It's just a matter of Maricopa County owns Chase Field, right? They are the owner. The Diamondbacks are the tenant. And at the end of the day, Maricopa County does have a responsibility here to uphold that building and to go in and fix things like electrical problems and, problems with the structure itself. And I think that they should have a shared interest here with the D-backs to make that a better facility, right? Do they not hold concerts there that they themselves get the revenue from the concerts for, like Pink and Elton John and Billy Joel and all of this stuff? It's not like the Diamondbacks are the only ones that have an interest in this building being a better building, right? So, I will just say that this is absolutely something that Maricopa County does have a responsibility to kind of offer up. The Diamondbacks have done a lot of improvements themselves out of pocket so far. The sound system, the lights.
Right.
Derek is very excited about the lights. And when I say that, that's not me talking in third person. That's Derek Hall. We spoke today.
I think you also are probably pretty excited
I'm
about the
fucking
lights.
jazzed about the lights. But Derek Hall specifically, like I brought up the sound system to him today, and he was like, wait until you see the lights. Like he said it in a way that I was like, oh, let me have it, right? So I mean, and they're holding up, I feel like, their end of the bargain here by making those improvements and paying for them themselves, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the big question here is, are the Diamondbacks being reasonable in trying to secure some public funding in order to assist with these renovations? And that's a bit of a loaded question, depending on your perspective on how these situations should work out. But the precedent is that yes, it is a reasonable ask in that. Just a few months ago, the Milwaukee Brewers came to an agreement on extensive stadium renovations where they're receiving $500 million in public funding. I'm not
and that's
sure.
a newer ballpark. Then.
And that's a slightly
Field, right?
newer ballpark. 2001 is when American Family Field originally opened. There's also, there have been a few of these deals that happened recently. The Baltimore Orioles also just a few months ago, $600 million in public funding that apparently is being released through this deal to them. And from what we've heard, the Diamondbacks are looking at a $400 to $500 million project. Ken said yesterday that they are interested, they are willing to invest hundreds of millions of dollars themselves. So, it looks like, just kind of doing the rough math there, the D-backs are probably looking for, somewhere between 100 million and 200 million, something like that in public funding, which is a lot of money. I don't want to make it sound like $100 million is nothing. But, compared to some of these deals that have been signed recently, put into place recently, that is actually lower than most of them. So, if you're just looking from the perspective of what have these deals looked like in recent history, it is actually a reasonable thing for the Diamondbacks to ask. And so far, it just seems like the county, the municipalities, that be in place here in Arizona have not been, willing to come to the table with that kind of money.
And they're not asking for a brand new stadium either. That's the other thing too. And you go, well, they're still asking for money, but they're not asking for a new ballpark. And Chase Field kind of isn't the same as a lot of those other ballparks. There's a lot more reverence for a place like Camden Yards. Even Progressive Field a little bit is one of those places that, it's not one of the top 10, but it's still a really great stadium that people in Cleveland love. Chase Field doesn't have that same general ambiance. So they're just saying, look, let's kind of meet in the middle and let's just see if we can make some improvements. It really benefits everybody.
And you cover a team that the ownership gets a lot of reasonable hate at times, right?
Yeah.
A lot of reasonable criticism. And like this kind of turned everybody on Kendrick, it felt like, right? It felt like this, this comment, which, again, as much as he wanted to say wasn't a threat, did very much come off as a threat, and seems like it is a threat, is, one of those things that has kind of thrust him into that position of once again being an unliked owner. Is that fair? And especially considering what this team has spent during the offseason and done, is that what happens when you make a comment like this publicly?
I think so. It's like, is it a threat or is it just making it a little bit more obvious? Like there are options out there, like I know for a fact that there was one owner when trying to negotiate a certain stadium situation in the last 25, 30 years, made a phone call to the commissioner at the time. And the phone call was exactly this. Hey, what do you want? I just want to talk to you about Montreal. Oh, okay. What do you want to know? Nothing. Just want to say that we talked about Montreal. And so when they went into negotiations with the city to talk about, the current situation, again, this is all private though, they were able to say, just so you know, I did talk to the commissioner about Montreal. Well, let's figure some things out.
Yeah.
And that situation ended up working out fine. Now, again, that's private, whereas this whole situation is public.
Right.
But that's just business right there.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's business.
Yeah. And I have to believe that, if the Diamondbacks came out publicly with this information, with whatever you want to call this what appears to be a negotiation tactic, saying the Diamondbacks have other options, it's probably a pretty good indicator that they've already told the county officials this privately.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They've already tried that. They've already said privately, like, we have other options that we could go to if you guys don't come to the table with the money that we're asking for. And that apparently didn't work. I mean, that's sort of what I'm led to believe. And so Ken Kendrick went public yesterday, and he said publicly, which is obviously a much bigger step to take. He took an enormous hit for it. And understandably so. Diamondbacks fans coming off the World Series, the last thing they want to hear is their owner talking about the team moving to another place, right?
Yeah.
Understand all of that. But yeah, I mean, it looks like a negotiation tactic. And there's certainly a lot of history with teams using negotiation tactics like this. When you're not able to get the stadium funding that you want, you say, well, hey, I bet I can find someone in another state who will give me the funding I want, and it works.
It's why it's so hard to negotiate for buying a car right now, Jesse, because when you go to the car dealership and you try to be like, I'm going to go somewhere else and buy it, they're like, I mean, good luck finding it. Second of all, if you do, it's going to be the same price. So have yourself a good day, sir.
Is this a transition for an ad read?
No, it could be, but it's not.
You guys doing Carfox now?
I could be. No free ad reads. Max is going to get.
All right, sorry.
He's going to be so mad at you. But we do have good D-backs news, and it's not all, of course, about the Diamondbacks relocating. There was some good things from Derek Hall, including that the Diamondbacks have added 2,500 new season ticket holder accounts, which dates back. He said even during the playoffs, they were getting people calling in and adding in. They're projecting for well over 2 million fans this season at Chase Field, and the Diamondbacks have not reached that many since 2019. I think with the way that things are laid out for this team, they have a chance to kind of blow some of their past attendance numbers away, because a lot of people are very excited to come out. That $299 deal with the season ticket pass,
that's awesome,
is incredible, right? And I mean, the big thing is about getting people out to fill up that ballpark, right? It's again, not to keep dumping on the Rockies, but it's what the frustration is with some of the fan base in Rockies, is that like they feel like they want to voice their displeasure with the ownership, but
Coors Field is so dang nice.
It stays full.
Can't help themselves from going there,
right? The Diamondbacks have the adverse problem of that for sure.
No, Coors Field is just recession proof, and so if you're a good businessman, then business is going to be good. And the owner of the Rockies is a very good businessman in that way. He's not a terribly good baseball man.
Right.
And the Diamondbacks have to have good baseball men, baseball people, in order to have what they were able to have in 2023 and going forward. Because if they don't have that, the fans are just not going to show up. Not the case in Colorado.
Yeah. AJW, yes, go check that out. They do have that $299 season pass.
It's a crazy deal.
But getting back to Kendrick, of course, he did say that his message to the team was a little different this year, and it's understandable. Like, even though Torey doesn't want to talk about expectations and wants to talk more about a standard, there are expectations, right? And the expectation now is that this team isn't just going to, hopefully make the playoffs, or, as we talked about last year, play meaningful games in September. The expectation is now that this is going to be a playoff contender.
One last note on attendance. I just looked up and saw that the Rockies were at 2.6 million last year in attendance, which is a number the Diamondbacks would be absolutely elated.
But here's the thing. But to be fair, it was their worst season ever. They had never lost 103 games. So to be fair, Jesse, hold on now.
You're right. This was an exceptional season for the Rockies. We shouldn't be lumping it in with the other one.
Arizona's never had a season with 2.6 mil, right? Well, probably back in the late 90s.
The Diamondbacks have. What do you think in the Diamondbacks inaugural season, 1998? Throw me a number. What do you think their attendance was for
1.5?
1.5?
I would say around 3, maybe 3 mil.
3.6 million.
3.6.
3.6 million in the first year at Bank One Ballpark. This past year, 2023, wasn't a terrible season for attendance for the Diamondbacks. They were at 1.96 million. They were at roughly half of what they did in 1998. That's how full that building was when it first opened. But yes, the Diamondbacks haven't been up at 2 million since 2019. So getting back up there, Derek Hall talked about being well beyond 2 million as well. So I think there's an opportunity here to maybe do as well as the D-backs have done in attendance. Maybe going back to, they haven't really been well over 2 million since 2008. That was the last time they were at 2.3 or above. They were at 2.5 million back in 2008. So it'll be interesting to see where that number ultimately lands.
They're in a good sweet spot, I think, in a lot of ways, because they've got so many guys on like option deals or going to be free agents. after the 2024 season. So if things
Sure.
aren't great and they just need to kind of tinker with some things, restructure, not rebuild, but just kind of, they've got a good core there. But if they need to move some pieces around because they don't have the success they did last year or just in the regular season, then they can kind of scale back a little bit. The core is still going to be there, add some pieces. And if things are great and if attendance really does ramp up, they'll still be able to add maybe even some bigger, better pieces during a free agent crop that's going to be really good after the season.
I feel like there was too much negativity in what you had to say there. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. It didn't.
It's in a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Things are actually going to be pretty good.
All right,
That's what I'm saying.
That's better.
That's what I'm saying.
Back to Ken Kendrick's comments about those expectations.
Sure.
Kendrick had this to say. He said, "My thought about it is last year, I think we were hopeful playing October baseball this year. This year, I think we expect to play October baseball, and if we don't, we'll be disappointed." And I think a lot of fans would feel the same way about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I don't know if this is a message that Torey himself would necessarily deliver. You talked about the difference between standard and expectations and whatnot. That's something Torey has really been
Don't
preaching.
say the E word anymore.
Yeah, apparently. Torey doesn't say the E word, but everyone else does.
Yeah,
It's kind of the sense that I've gotten so far. But yeah, that was certainly a question I had for Ken and Derek going in to yesterday was, what are the expectations? What do you think are fair expectations for this team in 2024? Because, the Diamondbacks lost the World Series, but I don't know if it's fair to put the expectations at winning the whole dang thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty...
You have to, or else
that's a
failure.
really high bar for any... That's a high bar
Yeah.
for the Dodgers. I mean, that's a high bar for any team, no matter where you are. But yeah, I think that's a fair place to put those expectations. If we don't make the playoffs, we'll be disappointed. That's something that we talked about on this show a couple months ago, thinking about what the expectations are for this team in 2024. Yeah, you got to make the playoffs. Once you get there, we saw last year, there's a lot of crazy things that can happen once you're in the postseason. But you got to get there. And that's something the Diamondbacks absolutely should achieve in 2024.
You definitely don't want expectational disappointment, right? ED is not good. So you tamp down those expectations, right? You had something you had wanted to say. Go ahead.
I did. Yeah, but after that, I don't know. Get out of here. Three is the magic number. And I say that because 3 is the number of National League teams that have repeated as National League champions in the last 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
And that is something that Ken Kendrick brought up. And of course, that just shows how hard that is to do, right? Like, it's just not an easy thing to do when it comes to repeating and coming back because baseball's so random. It's the reason why teams, can't really become super teams in baseball. And even when they do, it might not work out for them. Obviously, we hope it doesn't work out for the Dodgers. Everybody at this table hopes that, whether they want to admit it or not. They all hope it deep down inside. But Ken Kendrick was also asked about the Dodgers spending and if he's frustrated with the Dodgers spending. Now, he said, would we like to have the economics that they have? Which he loves that word, by the way, economics, of course. But we don't, and I think we're trying to use the resources that we have as wisely as we can. And I think you all know we've made significant advances in terms of this money that we're investing in the team, and we did that because we feel we're at a place and at a time where we can be even more competitive, and I'm always willing to invest when that opportunity presented itself. And I think that's a smart way to look at it because there is no reason to make the same mistakes of the past where they have gone out there and gone after a big free agent when the time wasn't right. The free agents that they added this offseason definitely addressed weaknesses that the lineup and the starting rotation had. They didn't need to make any changes to the bullpen really because the bullpen, for those last 2 months last year were absolutely incredible. But we are going to talk about if this is the best roster that Torey Lovullo has ever had in his tenure as Diamondbacks manager. It's just, you cannot say that even with those comments that were made, that Ken Kendrick and the front office didn't go out there, didn't improve this team, didn't also invest in Chase Field, where, again, they don't have to invest anything in that building right now, considering that they do not know the future of staying in that building. But they still invested in that building. They invested in this team. And what Elise said there, I think, is what I feel the same. And she said back-to-back seasons with playoff appearances would be a huge step for this team. And I do feel like that definitely is the case.
Yeah, I was talking to another reporter today, and I'm hearing more and more of the Diamondbacks becoming kind of a template for other teams. There was a story from Vinny Duber, our colleague over at CHGO, did an outstanding job writing about the Diamondbacks way, and that being kind of a theme in White Sox camp, them trying to kind of embrace the Diamondback style of play on the field. And I also heard it apparently out of Cubs camp. There's talk of, looking at kind of what the Diamondbacks did last season, the fact that they didn't spend a whole lot of money. I'm sure Cubs fans would not be thrilled to see the Diamondbacks used as like a reason to not go out and spend. I don't think Cubs fans are going to be on board with that. But yeah, there was, I believe it was the Cubs chairman who went on the record and said he was really happy with what really happy for what the Diamondbacks did last year. And, the reality that you don't necessarily have to spend a ton of money in order to win. So yeah, in that sense, again, that fan base maybe not too happy with the Diamondbacks being used as an example in that way, but you have a team that wins 84 games, and last year they spent around $120 million, and they went all the way to the World Series.
You want it to be sustainable, and that's the biggest piece, right?
Yeah.
And you can't do that if you're just spending like crazy.
Well, you got to figure out who your core is. You can't just keep rebuilding and rebuilding. You have to understand who your core is. And there was a point where Mike Hazen understood that the core of this team was coming up from the farm system. And once these guys started to come up, these were the guys that became the everyday starters for this team. They knew that was the case. He knew that's what he was building towards when he was handed this franchise. They had that year where they had the insane number of draft picks. I think they had the most in Major League Baseball.
Seven of the top 70 some picks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and so that was when the rebuilding started. But yeah, of course, the Diamondbacks don't have the resources of the Dodgers. So the only way that they can build a successful team is through drafts, drafting smartly, trades, things like that, where they're going to bring these guys in, especially young guys that then they can bring up in their system and have become superstars here instead of that occurring somewhere else, right? And or paying those guys. Baseball does have that, where you do have control over young players for a certain number of years before they become free agents. So even if you can't afford to pay them now because of the talent level that they're at, they still are stuck with you as a team for a number of years before they can move on. And so a team that continues to build from within does have that advantage of having those young players be inexpensive and sometimes very, very good.
The best part about the Diamondbacks is that as soon as these guys came up, they started to win. It wasn't, and then for the Rockies, that will be interesting to see because it could take a while for that to take hold. And then you only have so many more years before they either reach free agency or they start getting paid a lot of money in arbitration. Yeah. So in a weird way, you talk about tempering expectations, and for them to go back to the postseason in 2024 seems very reasonable for a team that went that deep. But they've only done it one other time in franchise history. So in a weird way, that's pretty high. And they only won 84 in the regular season. And I know that was something that Corbin Carroll said yesterday to us, was like, hey, I kind of view us as we were an 84-win team, so we got to do a lot better.
Yeah.
We're an 84-win team that went to the World Series, but we only won 84 games last year. We got to be much better than that. So temper the expectations, but you still got to feel really good right now.
Marco says, LOL, David Peralta is going to be a Cubby, apparently. Not exactly the Diamondbacks type of play that I think that they were looking for.
Can we get some W's in the chat for not having to watch the freight train celebration all year this year? Let's go. Yeah, you're right. We don't have to see Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts hit 350 during the freight train every single time.
Yeah, no, they're going to do their little...
We did it.
Yeah, we did it.
This
we won.
This is as good as the National League Championship.
Yeah, it might be better.
I miss seeing Damon Dog frothing at the mouth.
Oh,
that was great. Foaming at the mouth. Let's go.
This is put the leash on him. The type of thing that I care about, and like me only.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'll get so fired up over something like this.
Damon, there's at least 3 people in the chat who are just like so on board with what you're saying right
100%.
now.
Also, I have to say
we got
that
some W's.
Jesse mentioned the White Sox without completely destroying their franchise and like lighting them on fire. So that's progress, Derek.
We've gotten better. Yeah, he's gotten better. He's grown as a person.
Patrick, the White Sox are like the one team that Jesse just like can't stand.
It's not I can't stand them. I don't regularly
grills them every time he gets them.
MLB franchises on this show, but I have dunked on the White Sox like twice, and so they've become the team
that where you haven't decided to just obliterate them.
Yeah.
in a long time.
What did Ozzie Guillen ever do to you?
Oh,
yeah,
who hurt you?
Yeah, there's a lot of history.
Who was
They
it?
need Ozzie Guillen back. That's
Joe
what they
Creedy?
need.
Who was it?
We appreciate you and your W's being here, by the way, in the PHNX Sports YouTube chat. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our wonderful shows go live. Leave us a review or leave us a like. We want those likes. Leave us a review on the audio podcasting side. We appreciate those 5-star reviews. We love our listeners, of course. Make sure you're subscribed over there as well. Make sure you take care of yourself. Jesse and I have not been doing that. Patrick is here, so he took care. He's been taking care of me. He had a phone charger for me. He gave me a throat lozenge yesterday. This is the kind of parenting I needed in my life. But of course, if you need to take care of yourself on the go, make sure to stop by Circle K. It is America's thirst stop, and it is the place to stop and make sure to fill yourself up fast. Fill up your car with some cheap gas as well. If you join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today, you can save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups and save 3 cents off per gallon every day after that. Their gas is already cheap, so you might as well save some more. Of course, terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. But get in there and make sure you get yourself something to eat and drink some water, for Pete's sake. It's already getting hot out there.
The chocolate peanut butter bars that they have they're
incredible.
unreal.
Oh, can I
They're
talk
great.
about, okay, so some of our diehards brought us in baskets specifically for our beats, and they brought us all, there's wonderful people, CWP, Chris, you guys know who you are. You brought us in some delightful Valentine's Day treats. Max, get the hell out of here. We're doing a show.
My boy.
Anyway, Max is a suspect here too. Nobody in this office is free of suspicion when it comes to where did my salted caramel chocolate bar go?
Caramel.
I want to know where the fuck my salted caramel chocolate bar went that someone brought me for Valentine's Day. I was going to.
What a grab.
I was going.
Made it out. It went out.
I got it out.
That was an Indiana Jones moment. The door was closing. Got it. It's pronounced caramel also.
Window. Okay, Tom Brady.
Look, man, I'm just saying. I want my chocolate bar back. That's what I'm saying. So I'm gonna find out who stole it and ate it. I think it was Owen, but he says he got one. I don't believe that. I don't think anybody likes him enough to bring him a salted caramel chocolate bar from Circle K. But
Caramel.
Caramel. I say caramel. You say.
Are we sure
Caramel.
that Damon didn't
Chris,
steal it?
Maybe
sure?
Damon stole it.
Are we sure?
Damon stole the cookie from the cookie jar.
I heard Mac and I heard Jacob are also part of our basket.
They're
That's
all
not how that works.
suspects.
Yeah, so my
They're all
question is,
suspects.
what is this basket thing even? What are we even talking about?
The fact that my salted caramel chocolate bar is missing.
So, but I want to know how I could be a suspect when this is the first time I've been in the office in like 3 weeks.
Okay, that's fair.
He's got an alibi.
Me and
He's got an
Jesse
alibi.
too. I've not been in this office very much.
You just have to check the molars. Check people's molars because that caramel is going to still be back there.
This is why I
That's
keep
how
adding
you know.
plantains around.
I got you, dog.
Of course, make sure you guys go out there and check out Desert Financial Credit Union if you want to get yourself $200 in bonuses for free. Of course, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union for more than 84 years, and they're dedicated to creating an exceptional experience for you as a customer and for the communities that they're in. Make sure you go with a financial provider that is going to have your financial interests in mind. They got me started on my home ownership journey, and they can get you started as well. Look to Desert Financial for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. When you open a free checking account online, you'll get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. Well, we were out again, spring training. How has this weather been treating you, by the way? I know how we feel about it. How has this weather been treating you?
It's been perfect. I have long sleeve button up shirt and a zip up hoodie over it. I'm standing in the blazing sun and I couldn't feel more perfect. And then I'll take off my sweatshirt and then it's still perfect. Like it's been perfect.
Yeah, that's great.
Perfect.
People keep saying in the chat that it looks like I'm glowing, which I think is their way of telling me that I got sunburned today.
Got a little sun.
Which maybe it's just tan. We might be okay. But
that looks like redness. There's some definite redness
I'm
there.
pretty white, and
Yeah.
it tends to pretty much always turn red for me. So.
A little bit of Brandon Pfaadt action on the cheeks, right? Little Brandon Pfaadt from up here, but down that's here.
Is he suffering from Pfaadt face?
A little Pfaadt face. Yeah, he's got a little Pfaadt face.
Could be.
Speaking of Pfaadt face, Brandon Pfaadt looked nasty today. They were doing some live batting practice, I guuld say, or just
live
live
BP.
Live
yeah.
BP. And let me tell you, BP looked great in BP because this man looked fantastic. We have a video of him striking out his new teammate, Gino Suarez, here. This is the vibes, by the way. This is what the vibes are like out there.
Immaculate.
Just absolutely immaculate. Speaking of immaculate,
is that Gino?
Yeah, that's Gino.
Oh yeah, I can see the hair now. He's like,
sit on it, Potsy. Yeah.
I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad that guy's on my team.
This guy is good on my team. Yeah.
My biggest observation from this moment was that Suarez walked away because that was a called third strike on a gorgeous front door sweeper from Brandon Pfaadt. But he had to come back because there was some kind of a drill that they wanted to do where he came back and he hit right-handed. He stood in right-handed. He stood in left-handed. I guess maybe practicing a pitch out or something along those lines. So yeah, I mean that just makes it worse, right? Not only do you get struck out by your teamate, your new teammate, there. But you have to go back and do the little stand of shame in the batter's box.
Yeah, and then do it from this side. Yeah. Speaking of doing it, Ketel was smashing the shit out of the ball today. I have never seen Ketel as dialed in as I saw him today. That man hit more home runs in a row out of their practice field that I've seen Ketel hit the ball well. I've seen him be dialed in. It seemed effortless for him. He had on these incredible shoes. He had on these Jordan cleats with LPK on it. And he looks ready to go, man. He looks like this is going to be just one of those seasons for Ketel. Now, of course, I'm calling this 6 days into total?
Yeah, now is the time to make your final judgments on what kind of season all these guys are going to have. I will say that Geraldo Perdomo has looked pretty good in some of these live BP and just overall just general BP settings as well. I've heard from, I haven't seen all of this myself, but I've heard from other people who've seen him hitting that from the right side in particular, he's been really flashing some power, which is a really big thing for him. We've talked about Perdomo being named the Diamondbacks everyday shortstop already, and his ability to hit left-handed pitching as a right-handed hitter being really important with that. And so far, so good. It's just BP. I don't want to, again, read into too much at this point. No, but
let's speculate. Let's get crazy with it.
He was testing out a extremely exaggerated leg kick at one point while he was hitting today.
It was comical. It was cartoonish. And you knew it wasn't going to be something he was really doing, right?
Yeah, I was I mean, I'm not a hitting coach, but that doesn't seem like something you'd want to be doing. And sure enough, I think it was just some sort of a drill, some sort of movement he was practicing or something like that. I don't think it's going to be part of his batting stance, but he has looked good in the limited stuff that we've seen so far.
Pull it off, to do something in exaggerated fashion like that and still be successful is great. It's probably why when I was in the locker room with you guys yesterday, the only person that I got excited to see was Jerry P. We know I'm the Jerry P stan. That's it.
Oh, me and you both, brother.
You and me. I looked and I was like,
this is
a
Perdomo podcast is what this is, by the way.
Pfaadt walked by, Randall Grichuk. I'm like, I spent last season with you in Colorado. I'm good. Is that Jerry P? And it was, and I felt good. My heart skipped a beat.
This may or may not be a true story, but he may or may not have told me that our show is the only show he'll watch. That's maybe what he said to me. I don't know. Is he telling the truth? Maybe not. Maybe I'm not telling the truth. Who knows? I'm a known liar, and that's for sure. But I will say that at least the balls that Perdomo and Ketel hit stayed in the practice facility and didn't go out into the parking lot. Ellie De La Cruz, not so lucky out in Goodyear. The same could not be said about a home run he hit, which smashed teammate Hunter Green's window in the parking lot. Not a great.
I'd missed that story.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And Green was pitching. Green was the pitcher too. I think.
Was he?
I think he was. Yeah.
Don't even tell me that.
I think he might have been it. Don't quote me.
That's incredible.
You're paying for that.
I mean, why do we have the outfield facing the player parking lot? In what way does that happen?
That is a problem.
Maybe we need to move Goodyear down on our tier ranking because that doesn't make very much sense to me at all. But we did talk to Torey a bit. Jesse actually went out to Media Day in Glendale. We did. And I mean, it was the same.
Patrick was also at Media Day.
It was the same conversation we were going to have with him out at the other place. But speaking of the other place, Torey did make some comments on Eugenio Suarez and just what he's seen out of him so far as one of the newest additions to this team.
Real good hands at third base, good actions at third base, barreling up the baseball, and just seems to be in a really good spot with being able to make good decisions as to where that ball's going when he's at the plate, where the ball is coming to him when he's at the plate. Second part of him is the the clubhouse presence. I think he is integrating himself here after only just a few days of being in camp, and just showing some really nice clubhouse qualities that I'm enjoying watching.
He really has. You really see him vibing with his teammates really well. Eduardo Rodriguez as well. Those are guys that really seem to, like, they're not sectioned off from their teammates. We saw Erod holding a little holding court over in the corner where he was teaching his teammates how to make some arroz con pollo. So like there was some good conversations going on. And I mean, these guys don't look like these are new members of the team. These are guys that look like they are already integrated in with their teams or with their teammates and are vibing. Like it looks like, the things are good.
The Suarez deal, I think, was just almost a stroke of genius, where a guy that just goes out and posts, and you say, is he like all-star caliber, where when you think of the top 10 third baseman, you might even forget to mention him, but go back and look. The dude has 229 home runs over his last 8 seasons. Like, he just posts, like, he manages to not get hurt. He's a lock for 145 games, and that's what you want, that kind of stability over there, and it allows you that flexibility. So if Jerry P stays hot, at shortstop, and Lawler's ready to come up, you got a trade chip, you got an all-star guy there on your bench, it just gives you so much flexibility. And so I think that one's going to age the best of all the moves this offseason, and there have been a lot. I think the Eugenio Suarez deal is probably the best one.
I actually talked to Mike briefly at Media Day just a couple hours ago about Suarez, and specifically about a conversation that Mike had with Paul Sewald. Apparently around the time that the Diamondbacks were completing that trade with the Mariners, Mike called up Paul Sewald and asked, like, tell me about Gino Suarez. What do you know about this guy? And of course, heard nothing but good things. It sounds like Mike was very much expecting to hear good things, and he did. I think Paul Sewald talked about this a little bit on Foul Territory as well, and kind of gave his side of the conversation. But suffice it to say, Sewald is a pretty big Gino Suarez fan. And by all accounts, I mean, anyone who's played with Gino Suarez really seems to appreciate him as a teammate. And, it's certainly still early, but I don't really have any doubt that those kind of relationships will be formed here in Arizona as well.
Got the cosign from Sewald. That's big.
Well, and I mean, again, that Mariners team, the one thing from Sewald.
I miss this guy, man.
Stop it. Stop it. No, the one thing is that Sewald has had some great things to say about, how close the Mariners were, and how, especially he was talking about how when they got behind, they just had this confidence level that, we'll catch up. Like, we'll win games. We'll get back to where we were at. And they just didn't get a chance to do it. But he felt like that was a talented team that didn't live up to their true potential. And, I mean, he talked about, coming over here and this team having the success they had this year. And hopefully, we talked about him being the dad of the bullpen. Hopefully his experience with what happened with the Seattle Mariners and, essentially that being a reason why he's a part of this Diamondbacks team. It's a big reason why, he can kind of let guys know, like, we got to stay focused. We got to stay locked in. But, I would definitely take his advice on, of course, any dad-related stuff, building a cabinet, going on a road trip, things like that. And I would take his advice on Gino. That's something, of course, that you definitely want the input of players that are currently on your team that have played with a guy like that. But I do feel like Gino does make this lineup complete. And you add in Jock Peterson, you add in Randall Grichuk, you add in all the other components that they added to the starting lineup. You also have a bullpen that felt like it was fairly complete, didn't need many additions, and they didn't really add to it. A starting rotation that got a big name starting pitcher that's going to, or maybe not a big name, but a quality starting pitcher that's going to fit right in there,
big
probably
addition.
In the 2 spot, right?
Yeah.
And this truly does feel like, in Torey's time as manager, the most complete team. Now, I mean, maybe at times we had more aspirations about other lineups that he had, especially earlier on in 2017, 2018, things like that. But This really does feel like Torey's most complete lineup from start from top to bottom. The starting rotation feels complete. The bullpen feels complete. This is what Torey had to say about this being the most complete team that he's ever managed as a Diamondbacks manager.
Yeah, I think so. We've talked about it a few times. You guys are smart. You guys are working the roster backwards like we are. I think at times we've had maybe 5 or 6 spots that we're that we're open, maybe more. But we know what we have returning is some of our starting pitchers. We know where that opening is. We know what the bullpen looks like. We know what the position players look like. So not only do we have competition for those spots, but we have depth beyond that. So there's going to be a winner and there's going to be some losers. Those losers are going to be depth. And that gets very healthy for us as well, because we know we're going to need probably approximately 35 to 40 players that are going to help us go to where we need to get to this year.
Well, Jesse, I know you wanted to analyze it, and I know you didn't have very much time to do so, but is this the most sacked lineup in the history of Torey Lovullo being manager?
Well, the first question you posted to me is this the most well-rounded team in Diamondbacks history?
Yeah, that was my first.
Probably not, but there's a lot of research to be done there.
Best bullpen possibly ever, because I know we talked about that remains to be seen, right?
I would lean toward probably not the best bullpen, although the bar there is not particularly high, to be frank. I think in terms of, comparing position player core this season to like what the Diamondbacks had back in 2017, when they won 93 games, I think.
Yes.
For some reason, 93, it feels right. But I think like in the middle of the lineup in 2017, the Diamondbacks had Paul Goldschmidt. They had JD Martinez for the second half of the season. AJ Pollock was a pretty darn good hitter. David Peralta had a good year. So I think like maybe the middle of the lineup, there's a little bit more thump potentially. But in terms of depth, I do think in terms of well-roundedness, I do think that this Diamondbacks team, they just like the players who would come in if certain guys on this team got hurt, you feel better about with this team than I think you have in the entire tenure that Torey Lovullo has had. The top level talent, again, I mean, that year you had Zach Greinke having a phenomenal season. You had Robbie Ray having a phenomenal season. Those two guys with Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, I guess there's a debate to be had there. That team also had Zach Godley, who we forget how good Zach Godley was in 2017. Patrick Corbin, it wasn't his best season, but also he had a 4.09 ERA. Taijuan Walker had a mid-3 ERA. The starting rotation that year was excellent, all the way 1 through 5. But yeah, I mean, comparable for sure. And especially on the position player side, I like the depth that this team has.
But going back to what the question was, it has something to do with hype. Like going into the season, that's where the 2017 team failed. Like they had only won 69 games in 2016. So going into the year, It was all right. Hey, maybe this team can kind of bridge the gap. The expectations of going to the postseason weren't quite there. It was more like the 2018 team. You go, oh, we just made the playoffs in 17.
Team had the expectations.
Yeah, exactly. Like 18 was that team, and it was really good, but it was a group of guys that was their window. That was it. Because right after 2018, what happens? Paul Goldschmidt gets traded, right? Corbin's on his way out. So it's like there was a very small window. So I think this team is on par, if not maybe a touch better than the squad that Torey went into the year with at the start of 2018. Difference, of course, being, when we're sitting here this time next year, if things don't go right this season, they're not going to blow it up like they did after 2018. So at least that's the positive thing, is that, even if they're around 500 this season, we'll come back and in the start of 2025, still talk about, hey, is the 2025 team still maybe one of the best that have ever been assembled in Torey's time?
That's a good point. I mean, beyond 2 years from now, I think there are some questions there with Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. You're not sure what happens after 2025 with those guys. But yeah, if the Diamondbacks, struggle in some way in 2024, they still are in pretty good position to, kind of run it back in 2025 and give it another go. So yeah, you don't have, you're not in the same situation then where guys were really, coming close to the end of their contract and where you'd be in a position to trade them. I'm not going to go down that road because people get angry when I talk about anything along those lines whatsoever. But Patrick started it.
He's right. He's right. You do.
Jesse just hit on something. That needs to be the new shirt.
Yeah.
Run it back.
Run it back.
They steal bases. They went to the World Series. Run it back.
It's pretty good.
Size large. I'll give you my address.
That's what he does.
Send me a free one.
text Eric. What are we doing here? This is not. Stop giving it away for free on the show. I will say this also. Obviously we have other additions in regards to this, but Torey talked about Jock Peterson today, and I mean, I do think that the depth, like you said, Jesse, is really the key here, and just how many weapons Torey's going to have in certain scenarios, situationally, how he's going to be able to change his lineup. He likes to do that anyway, and now he has more tools to do that with than he has, more weapons to do that than he has in the past. But he did speak about Jock Peterson today.
Yeah. This is a reporter, I think, from the Bay Area. I was kind of trying to get the Diamondbacks' early sense of what Jock Peterson is bringing to the table. And yeah, Torey was asked, what I think Torey had said something about how intelligent Jock had seemed, and so he was asked as a follow up, what exactly makes you think that? And he told a pretty interesting story here.
In the middle of an offseason, when we were recruiting him, he said 14 of the 18 right-handed starters in the NL West. Was that close to that number? I can't remember what it was. Or 12 of the 14 projected starters in the NL West I match up really well with. They fit right into my wheelhouse. And I'm like, where are we? What month is it? And what teams is he talking about? So he's clearly thinking about things on a totally different level. And he's right. When we did some research, we found out that he matched up really well with some projected starters in the NL West. We didn't break it down in that way. Well, actually, we did. I have no idea who they are, so I don't know. He's going to do some damage. There's no doubt about it. He's a proven left-handed bat, and he's going to walk up there very prepared and very ready to go do some damage, and that's what he's built on.
Wow, that's interesting.
What's interesting is that they're sitting in the wrong seats. That's what's interesting. It's also interesting that Mike Hazen, why are they doing that? Why are they both up there at the same time? Let's have these guys.
Yeah, eventually they kind of broke off, and some reporters were talking with Torey, some were talking with Mike. But at the very beginning, they're just both sitting there, and people would address questions to one or the other. And so one person would be talking and the other person would just be sitting there bored, as you saw Mike Hazen there. But yes, they were there. Torey Lovullo was speaking with a sign that said Mike Hazen above his head. And Mike Hazen was sitting there with a sign that said Torey Lovullo above his head. So that was fun.
I'm all in on Jock. I think Jock's going to be a great player for this team. But I mean, I also think that intelligence makes me feel like he knows the right things to say, right? And he's very... so far everything he said has piqued my interest. It's like, first you had my curiosity, now you have my interest, right? Like now Jock Peterson has gotten to the point where I do feel like he is indeed a player that's going to work very hard for this team. But that was kind of the question marks around him last season with the Giants. And I can understand, especially reporters that have covered him over there kind of asking what is a team that's young and fast and does a lot of things like run the bases well and defend well, what do they need a Jock Peterson for? And I think that there is a lot of things he brings to this team, including a tremendous amount of experience in the playoffs that nobody really else has. And you also have him knowing that he matches up with that many starting pitchers in the National League West is truly something that is an asset for a player to be thinking in those terms, right? Not every player thinks in those terms. 7
consecutive postseason appearances, mostly with the Dodgers, right? But Atlanta won back-to-back World Series. The dude has that winning pedigree. Even, obviously it didn't work out with San Francisco, and, the Cubs were kind of in the mix when he was with them. But he's one of those guys that you add, and there's not too many of them around. I feel like they existed more in the 90s and 2000s of just add this one player and it's going to just improve everybody around them. And I do get that sense that, Jock Peterson is one of those guys.
Michael McDermott in the chat said D-backs lost a lot of their core after 2018 and hadn't even built a roster as good until last year. Yeah. I mean, that is true, but I still think you could argue that this year's team might be better than that one. And I mean, they did have a good core back then, but this is, I think, a far more promising core as far as their potential. And I think a lot of that does start with Ketel Marte. I think when Mike Hazen was asked about the one trade he looks back on and is just kind of pats himself on the back a little bit about, it's the Ketel Marte trade, because they didn't even Marte far exceeded their expectations for what he could be as far as a consistent offensive contributor to this team.
Base hit in like every game of the World Series. Was a lock.
That's the guy.
He was amazing.
That was the guy.
Impressive.
Of course, you guys can get a lock by listening to Damon over at PHNX Bets, and then get down on the BetMGM Sportsbook app. Of course, if you do download that app and use our code of PHNX, you can get yourself $150 in bonus bets for absolutely nothing other than placing one wager at a standard odds price of at least $5. But you will get those $150 in bonus bets. You can go crazy with those. You got all sorts of MLB future bets you can get down on and so much more. So sign up for BetMGM. Use that bonus code of PHNX, the best letters in the alphabet, and place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the Sportsbook mobile application for at least $5. You will receive $150 instantly in additional winnings regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Damon talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms. This promotional offer is not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
You fucking loser.
You didn't tell me on purpose.
Get out of here.
I tried. That ad read was going. I'm like, we doing Ontario? We doing and you stonewalled me.
Sure.
I did see at the bottom it said Puerto Rico.
Do whatever you want, idiot. But that doesn't mean that's what me and Jesse are going to do. We're a team, and I wanted to remind you of that. But anyway,
I was ready to pivot, but I whiffed.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, we'll all go on a guy's trip to Gila River Resorts and Casinos. What do you say about that? A little staycation action.
Three best friends anyone could ever have.
Well, I know you're staying over.
Damon, and Patrick will have a great time.
Son of a bitch, you did it to me again. I know you're staying on Jesse's couch, and I'll tell you a much better place to stay would be Gila River Resorts and Casinos. No one does it better, even better than Jesse. He doesn't have nearly the entertainment options.
I am a really good host.
No, he doesn't have. Well, you know what he doesn't have? He doesn't have over 800 slot machines in his living room or 15 blackjack tables. He doesn't. Does he have a pool?
No
pool.
Access to
no world-class restaurants. Yeah, no.
I don't have to jump a fence, Jesse.
No frosted beverages.
A BetMGM Sportsbook.
The largest sportsbook in Arizona, I believe.
Does Gila River have an entire dishwasher full of dishes?
No,
that just need to be cleaned, but no one does it.
No, what? No, because
do they run out of paper towels?
They absolutely do not. They have they have an
You're gonna sleep on the patio tonight, Patrick. All right.
Do they? If you buy items and put it in the mini fridge, does somebody come in and just drink all your chocolate milk?
They drank your chocolate milk.
At the place that I'm currently
staying.
I will
completely own up to drinking all of the chocolate milk, and I will not apologize.
Treat you much better than this. They will absolutely never treat you like this. They will actually show you what Next Level is all about. So let them.
I'm interested.
Let them show you what Next Level is all about. Go to Gila River. Check out of that place you're at, and you do you at the Gila River Resort and Casinos. Visit play@gila.com for more details. You can get your reservation right now. Speaking of getting your reservations right now,
tip, thank you.
Diamondbacks single game tickets are going on sale very soon here. And I do have to ask you boys the question, if you could attend just one Diamondbacks game this season, buy yourself one single season, not season ticket, one single ticket for a single game, what game would that be?
Wait, so you're saying I'm taking like the entire season off? Like I don't have to work the whole summer?
No, I said one game, Jesse. I said one game. One game. You have to take. You can only go to one game this entire season. What game are you going to? You're buying yourself one fan ticket.
Well, opening day is always you can't miss. If you know nothing about baseball, you pick that one. But I don't know if
for
I'm
me,
going with that.
It's first game against the Dodgers at home.
April 29th. First game against the Dodgers.
I am letting them hear me.
Yeah.
We own you.
Yeah, the whole game.
Do you remember when
I remember. I was there. Do you want to get thrown out? I mean, is that the level that we're going to take it to? Because I'm ready.
I want tribute videos on the video board of the back-to-back home runs or the 4 home run inning.
Ooh,
Can we just have that running on a loop, or there's some sort of MLB rules against that just plays in the background while the game is going on?
Yeah,
Lance Lynn isn't there anymore, so it wouldn't hit quite the same.
Clayton Kershaw damn sure is.
Yeah. Giveaway nights are a good choice.
I don't think Clayton Kershaw will be pitching by April. But
show me the Gabby picture. Show it on the scoreboard.
Yeah, put it up on the scoreboard.
Clayton Kershaw is pitching in the game.
Yeah.
That is
or Ketel Marte. Ketel Marte, he had the split leg. He didn't cross his arms. He didn't need to. But that was evocative.
Go down that hallway and change every picture in the hallway in the frames to that picture of Gabby hitting that home run off Kershaw.
You know what? You know what they don't have in the giveaways that I'm disappointed because I would almost would want to go to game 2 of the season where they give away the magnet schedule. I know, say what you will. Magnet schedule is my favorite giveaway. I don't want any bobblehead. I need the magnet schedule. I wear out the space in front of my refrigerator because I stand there looking at the games. I got to know who's coming. When are they on the road? When do they go to LA?
No.
The magnet schedule is my favorite giveaway. It is. It's my favorite giveaway.
All right.
That's fine.
That's the best. That is just the best.
It's my favorite.
So Patrick.
You know, Patrick, we have these things called phones and laptops, lots of devices.
It's in my pocket. I'm in front of my refrigerator. I can see it.
Goddamn refrigerator magnet to get my schedule off of there.
It's the novelty.
It is on my phone at all times. It's on here at all times. It's a magical little box.
You got to type in a password to get into that. When I walk by my refrigerator, it's just up.
No. Look.
Sometimes they do cool graphics, like they'll use cool pictures, and they'll use Photoshop and stuff. Looks cool.
No, we're not even going to talk about the Alec Thomas shirt. Like the Alec Thomas shirt giveaway is the one.
That's a good one.
That's the one giveaway you want to go.
The Corbin Carroll bobblehead is pretty fire. The Gabby Moreno one is also really great too.
Glove one,
yes.
Star Wars night also very much. If you're talking about one single game to go to, that's all of my favorite things in one. A bobblehead giveaway, I get something for free. I get to go to a Star Wars related event, and I get to go see baseball. It's
against the Blue Jays,
and
right?
it's against the Toronto Blue Jays.
Ooh,
right? It's the only matchup at home against the Blue Jays.
That week is a whole good one.
Dalton Varsho's triumphant return.
Oh, good call. That whole week is a good one. You have Atlanta and then Toronto. How about May 17th? Pickleball night. What does that mean? No one knows, but pickleball is the promo. Show up, find out. Pickleball night. Let's go.
I feel like we're just talking about promo nights now, and I'm all for that. But obviously, the best promo, and even our friends over at PHLY had to give it up for it's
August 10th.
Championship
you should
replica.
Go on August 10th.
Yeah, August 10th, NL Championship replica ring night against the Phillies.
That's cool.
Yeah.
They the Rockies gave away in 2008 a replica of the trophy. Like a big wooden, like this is the National League trophy.
Yeah.
A big wooden one.
That's cool.
That was kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's hard to find out there, but
September 10th rematch with the Texas Rangers World Series rematch.
September 10th.
Yeah. And then also the next day.
What's more likely, both those teams, well, I know your answer is going to be, both those teams are like in the playoff hunt or they're both out of the hunt.
I would hope in, Patrick.
I know.
Why?
I shouldn't have said it.
I
shouldn't have said that. I know. I'm sorry.
One thing that occurred to me and Patrick last night was that Torey Lovullo is going to manage the National League in the All-Star game, which is somehow something that hadn't really occurred to me.
Oh my God!
And the All-Star game is being played at Globe Life Field in Texas, which is going to be quite a full.
Oh, that's true. Oh, I didn't think about the Texas part. I know we had said it, but
Yeah.
I was like thinking of synonyms of different ways. I'm like, all right, it's his 8th year. How else could you describe Torey Lovullo? I'm like, the 2024 National League manager of the All-Star game. And we were both like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Him and Buck Showalter, those are the only ones, right?
The last time he was there, he was managing the World Series, and the next time he'll be managing the All-Star game. So
that's pretty cool.
You might need some ice cream.
Chocolate peanut butter.
Chocolate peanut butter
is the correct.
If I'm there, I'll make sure he gets some for sure.
You guys absolutely did not nail the correct date though, because the correct date is Wednesday, July 31st, when we are going to be hanging out at the Chase Field pool against the Washington Nationals.
That's a good point.
That is the one ticket.
Cool.
We are going to have our takeover of the pool on July 31st. So do not miss that. That is the correct answer, and that is the game that you should come to. Of course, if you are a diehard, you get a discount on that event. So make sure to sign up today. Become a diehard, because you will still be a diehard when that comes around in July. Of course, you also get yourself a free t-shirt from the PHNXlocker.com. All sorts of wonderful benefits, including Jesse's content, all the Jesse fan content that you can have. And I assure you, it's all very not mature rated. You can also get everything that we have to offer over here, including discounts with our partners, discounts on our events, and of course, access to our members only Discord lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan. We're doing all sorts of stuff, including an extended mailbag Wednesday tomorrow. So make sure to get your questions in for that, as well as join us if you are a diehard. And of course, we're doing this all for you guys. So make sure you sign up today at gophnx.com.
Make sure you email in Montilla. Make sure you email in Montilla.
Oh, we're doing that. I found a new favorite Diamondbacks baseball player, you guys. You mind throwing him up on the screen real fast? There's another. I'm not the only one. There's another Montilla.
There he is.
Oh, I need this jersey so bad. What can I do? What can I trade this mountain of a man for his number 45 Montilla jersey? This is Emailin Montilla. Montilla.
It's spelled email in
Montilla.
Yeah,
but
so email. And it's cool that it's got your age on the back of his jersey too.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Oops. That hurts because it's not very far off from my actual age. I'm going to go cry in the corner. Oh, why don't we bring Patrick on this show? Get this son of a bitch out of here. I'm done with him.
Whoops.
Man, yeah. But yeah, I'll trade one of my Roosevelt shirts for that. I'll trade anything. Jersey swap.
That's a good one.
Right?
Yeah.
Jersey swap? I'll jersey swap with that, man.
He is a real prospect in the.
Oh yeah, he plays for the Amarillo Sod Poodles, and he's actually quite good.
Yeah.
And so I need to find out everything. I need to know everything about him.
Do you know that he played in Japan?
He did.
Yes,
yeah,
he's one of those
Japan.
guys.
Why are you like
Isn't that
this?
cool? Isn't
Yeah.
he played for the Hiroshima Carp? That's pretty dope.
Hiroshima Carp.
Yeah, I think he's 24
For how
years
many
old.
years?
About 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
This Montilla is way more interesting than ours is.
Bullshit. I was the youngest DJ in 99.9 KEZ history, but that is a story for another day.
What's radio?
Bro, don't do
That's
that
unfair,
to me.
Jesse. Derek is a pretty interesting guy.
No,
I mean,
Derek is very
Anything,
interesting.
he's pretty interesting.
I mean,
He's
I'm not good at my job.
No.
There's lots of things I'm bad
Yeah,
at. Being
but you are interesting.
I think wacky is the more appropriate.
You son of a bitch.
It's
You
it's
call
the
me
word I
wacky?
like to
What do I look like, a
use.
clown to you? All right, I'm going to get out of here because I'm sick of both of these guys. They want to go have dinner after this. Fuck that. But anyway, I'm going to go on an
You're
adventure.
paying, right?
And,
Because
no,
you're
I'm
the
not
old- you're the
paying.
old guy in the
I
situation.
know.
Yeah,
You made
Derek-
great investments. I mean, come on, you can just take it out of your 401k.
I do. Get
I mean,
dividend
Derek has like a
payments for my stocks.
2.5% interest rate.
It's
so honestly,
2.75.
why do I
You're
ever pay
He's
for any of my own
exaggerating.
meals
Don't
when
listen
we're
to
out
him.
together?
He
I mean,
This
that's
is
refinanced.
what
the real
happens
here.
when you get started on your home ownership journey early. I've been telling you guys.
He's got a 15-year mortgage. It's almost paid off. You know, it's all good.
He's not wrong. But I will tell you, living an interesting life involves a lot of adventures, and you can have your own adventure with our friends over at Arizona Lottery. Big shout out to Arizona Lottery. They're going to be sponsoring all of our spring training content. So we love our friends at Arizona Lottery, and we love the fact that they're trying to get us to go out there and see more of this beautiful state. Right now, you can check in at geolocated adventures at 10 destinations across the state, from Flagstaff to Yuma. And when you do, you enter an opportunity to win $1 million in cash in Arizona sports. What's the problem over here?
I just
I heard a chuckle and I didn't let it go. I go, whoa, wait.
Wait, hold on.
Now the
Every
sunburn's
stops.
coming out.
the
What?
sunburn is really coming.
Oh yeah, no,
I
you're getting
just
redder
I
as
just thought
the show
again
goes
of,
on.
What's so
us,
funny?
us
It
looking
sets
at
in.
a picture of a Montilla jersey with 45 on the back, and Patrick's like, look, they put Derek's age on the back.
Yeah.
Patrick's a funny
Just
guy.
be glad
you know?
that he doesn't have one of those, like, you're never going to make the roster numbers like 63. Okay? Just be happy about that.
You're
That's
not
fair.
invited back because look what you're doing. You're corrupting my young Jesse, and instead we should be going and having adventures like this Arizona Adventure thing, where we are checking in at all sorts of destinations across the state. Are you going to be good now? Are you going to mind yourself? Are you going to? Yeah, don't.
He started
don't
it.
blame him.
I'm composed again. I
Ask
just-
Jesse about the we did some research and we learned that there was someone who worked in the cafeteria for a baseball team and later became a general manager. Was right?
I'm not commenting on this story.
Okay. All right, Patrick. Well, you are not invited on the geolocated adventures that we're going to take. But, of course, we're also not going to split the $1 million in cash and Arizona travel prizes with you. This promotion does celebrate state pride and uniqueness and beauty of Arizona. The Arizona Lottery says proceeds from ticket sales support environmental conservation, among other important initiatives across the state. Visit azadventure.com for more information on how you can take an adventure with the Arizona Lottery and for a chance to win $1 million in cash and Arizona travel prizes. All right, that's all we got. Groundhog Mama says, Damon, lock the doors. Don't let Patrick leave. We are going to lock the doors after Patrick leaves and he's not allowed back in. That's the way that's going to work. But you can follow him at Patty Plantains. No, you have a real Twitter handle. It's
At Patrick D. Lyons.
Yeah,
I'm writing about all baseball teams, not just the ones that lose 100 games, for just baseball. So it's been fun. And
Yeah.
I'm over at Dodgers camp. I get to watch that whole carnival of
that's an interesting
craziness.
Yeah, that's an interesting situation developing over there. So make sure to follow him for lots and lots of great MLB news. Of course, you can follow us as well. I'm at Cap_Caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. We are, even though there's been some debate about it, still Damon's Dogs. You can follow our producer, the People's Producer, Damon, at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. Of course, we're Damon's Dogs.
Bark.
We did it. Okay.
I begrudgingly barked this time.
I mean,
I haven't seen Damon.
I didn't know you pivoted to bark. I thought that was.
We are also right. Oh, there's a whole history
Explain
and
it
a
to
lineage.
Patrick.
Yeah, because I thought it was woof woof.
Yeah, things change with time.
That's why I went bark to be different.
But we're also Ryan's Dogs because Ryan Thompson made us his dogs, and then things got complicated. But we found out that according to Jesse, based on hierarchy, if Damon becomes one of Ryan's dogs, then we can all.
No,
right?
if Ryan becomes one of Damon's dogs,
I fuck it up every time.
then we would also become Damon's dogs once again.
Because
that,
we're under the
however, has
umbrella
not
of
happened
Damon's
yet.
dogs.
So I gave a courtesy bark
Damon
today.
needs to accept Ryan into the fold. That's exactly what
I thought if you were like part of Ryan Thompson's thing, since it's tea time, you were a teabagger. I thought you texted me that.
This is why you're not allowed back on the show.
What?
All right. Of course, our show is at PHNX_D-backs. Don't follow this man. He's a bad man. He's a bad person, and you shouldn't follow him. But all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for your time. We appreciate you stopping by. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when Patty Plantains stops by.
We all silly like the mayor.